I'm April Witteveen, a community librarian with the Deschutes Public Library. Today's teen program is called Journal Through It. Today, I'll be sharing tips and ideas to get you started on your own journaling habit. You may feel like your voice doesn't matter or you don't have anything important to say, but I bet that's not true. If we think about somebody we all learned about in school who kept a very famous journal, Anne Frank, she felt the same way. Here's what she had to say in the beginning of one of her diary entries. It's an odd idea for someone like me to keep a diary, not only because I have never done so before, but because it seems to me that neither I, nor for that matter, anyone else will be interested in the unbosomings of a 13-year-old schoolgirl. Still, what does that matter? I want to write, but more than that, I want to bring out all of the things that lie buried deep in my heart. So Anne Frank was looking for a way to get things off her chest. She was looking for a way to dig into her emotions, to figure out what she felt about things, her relationships, her place in the world, the undeniable tragedies that were happening all around her, her time in hiding. You may feel like your life isn't quite as exciting or as terrifying as Anne Frank's, but that's okay. I also felt that way, but writing is for everyone and journaling is for everyone. There are plenty of other events happening in the world right now that may be weighing on us. Add in the additional trials and tribulations of being in middle school or high school, and you've got the perfect reason to write, just to get this off your chest. If you're new to the process of journaling or you've never kept a diary before, I'll share a few slides with some ideas to get you started. But overall, what I really want you to remember is that journaling is unique to each writer. This is your story, and you are the main character. There is no one grading your journal. There is no one judging you for what you write inside, which is good because not all of this is Nobel Prize worthy. No one will force you to write in it. As you can tell, though, from my own stack, once you get started, it may be very hard to stop. My own journaling experience started in 5th grade when I was given this pink teddy bear diary for my birthday. 1989, what a year. Some of you may not even have been born yet. But I was in 5th grade. What kind of huge dramatic things were happening to me in 5th grade? It doesn't matter. I had things to write about, even when I said, "Dear diary, nothing really happened today. My brother is annoying. We had dinner that I didn't like. The end." That's all there is to it. Or maybe, like Anne Frank, you want to dig a little bit deeper. It doesn't matter what your diary looks like, how you keep it, or really even what you put inside. It's starting that habit that counts. I'm going to go ahead and share a few slides to help you see how you might get started on your own journaling journey. So if you feel like you need a boost to get started, I really like writing prompts. Writing prompts are something I use when I'm talking to creative writers who are working on fiction, stories, poetry, but writing prompts also work if you're creating a journal entry. One thing that I've been saying a lot lately is, "I'm fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine." But maybe you're not really feeling fine. So if you'd like to take this as an example of maybe your first journal entry, take the word fine and turn it into an acrostic poem. You can see here that for me, fine actually means a feeling of inexplicable, nervous energy. You may be feeling that way too, or some other emotions. Take a moment to figure out what you actually mean when you say, "I'm fine," and write it down. A quick Google search gives tons of ideas for journal prompts. This one in particular is from a blog called My Cup Runs Over. This is the first 9 of a list of 29 creative journal prompts for teens. I love some of these right at the top. Everything from what brings you the most joy, what would you do if you got to meet one of your ancestors? Do you prefer to be in the spotlight? Ooh, number 8, if you could live in the fictional world of any book or series, what would you choose and why? These are all different ways to jumpstart writing and to jumpstart the reflective process, which is really what you're doing when you're journaling. You're reflecting on yourself and the world around you and your place in it. One thing that I always work to remember is that journaling, in theory, is a private exercise. Like we said earlier, nobody's grading you. However, you might have a little bit of privacy concerns that could lead you to censor yourself or not say everything you wish you could say on that piece of paper or that computer screen. I encourage you to remember that this is your experience, so don't censor yourself. If you are concerned about privacy wherever you may be keeping your journal to write or to store it when you're not writing in it, my first recommendation is to talk to those who live in your house and ask for respect. Ask if they see that journal that they remain private, that they do not take it or look in it. And if you feel like respect in your area may just not be an option, you have that time-honored tradition of hiding it and locking it. So maybe it lives in a secret space in your room. Maybe you have a treasure box out in your backyard and that's where the journal lives. Maybe you're using a journal electronically and you're able to password protect your files. You do whatever it takes so you feel safe putting down whatever you'd like in your journal. Now that you know how to take care of your journal, let's talk about how you might choose to write in it. Since this is your record and you get to do it however you want, you need to find a format and style that works for you. So for me, in all of these notebooks, this is what was available to me when I was younger. We didn't have technology around the same way that's available today. So handwriting was pretty much all I had. You have a choice. With so much distance learning happening right now, it may be nice to take a break from the screen and write something down by hand. However, I work with a lot of students who are just more comfortable typing, and that's perfectly all right as well. One thing I will say though about keeping it handwritten is that then you do have this really nice tactile series of books that may travel with you from state to state, just like mine have. Even looking at the way my handwriting has changed throughout the years really grounds me in my evolution as a person. I can see where I've been. I can see the times that I tried to be a little bit different with some different handwriting. And it just really enriches the experience for me. That may not be the case for you. You need to choose what's going to be most beneficial to motivate you. What's going to keep you writing? Scientists say that it generally takes about 2 months or 66 days in order to form a new habit. So if you can form a new habit for journaling by writing out by hand, great. If you'd rather type and that's what keeps you motivated, then that's going to be the most important thing. You may wonder, do all of my entries need to start with Dear Diary? Definitely not. My first little entries in my 5th grade notebook did start with Dear Diary, but as I got older, I mainly put the date on the page and just jumped right into whatever I was thinking. My notebooks contain poems, lists, letters. I have found recipes. My best friend's no-bake chocolate oatmeal cookie recipe is in one of these books. I have found information about applying for jobs that I've held in the past. It really is a record of where I've been in the past few decades of my life. So it can be whatever you want. Maybe you've heard of this trend called bullet journaling, which I kind of like. It's a neat little way to really analytically organize your thoughts. That may feel good for you. Today, I'm not really going to talk much about bullet journaling, but there are lots of resources online. If you are an artist, or even if you just like to do a little bit of a sketch or a doodle here and there, maybe you'd like to add some art to your journal. Maybe you take photos and print a few off to add to your journal. You can see here that a lot of my notebooks have extra pieces of paper sticking out of them. When I open them and shake them out, some of them do have photographs or bookmarks or ticket stubs. All of the little bits and pieces that made up my life at that time has kind of found their way into these notebooks. So find the format that works for you and then keep working at it, because the habit is what really makes journaling the most beneficial in my opinion. So how do we make it a habit? How do we get to the point where every day or every couple of days we're saying, aha, it's time for me to write? First of all, I encourage you to be patient. We don't start new habits just overnight, and it really doesn't have to be all or nothing. If you get started and then kind of forget about it for a couple of days or weeks or a month, no problem. As I was reviewing my old journals, there are a couple in here that are only halfway full. I just ran out of steam. I wanted a prettier notebook. All of these are reasons that I just kind of stopped and picked up a few months later. So a couple things that might work for you. See if making an appointment to write is an option. Every night at 9 o'clock, I will pick up my journal and try to write a few words. Making journaling part of your homework routine is another option. After I finish my homework assignments, I will write in my journal for 15 minutes. Connecting a new idea or a new practice to something that already exists is the most helpful way to start a new habit. So a lot of my notebooks are filled with writing I did just before bed, or writing I did on a Saturday when I didn't really have anything else to do, but realized I had a lot to say. One thing I like to do now that technology is so available to us is I use the Notes app on my phone to grab quick ideas and thoughts. I'm someone who has a lot of ideas in the shower or in the car, and those aren't always great times to spend 30 minutes journaling about whatever it is I was thinking. So I take out my phone, I make a quick memo, maybe I make a voicemail, a voice note, and then I can come back to that in the future. So as you're working on your journaling practice and you are doing what Anne Frank calls the unbosoming of the deep thoughts inside, you may start to dig up some stuff that feels overwhelming or scary. Journaling is an amazing way to explore all of our emotions. But if you feel like things are starting to get a little out of control, or some of the thoughts you're having feel kind of scary, help is always available. You can find a trusted adult in your life to share some of your feelings with. Oregon also has a fantastic youth line program. You can text, you can call, you can do an online chat. And from the hours between 4 and 10 every day, teenagers are available to talk with you about what might be going on. So having the opportunity to talk to trained teens who are going through the same thing that you are is really valuable. And the Oregon Youth Line is a tremendous resource if you feel like you might be kind of falling down a spiral and you're not sure how to work your way back up out of it. So if you're feeling like you might be getting ready to start your journaling experience, but you could use a little bit more inspiration, there are a wide variety of books written for teens that are put out in what we call an epistolary or a journal-like format. So here are 6 books that all are written in a journal in one way or another. For example, Life as We Knew It by Susan Beth Pfeffer is one of my all-time favorite books, and it feels particularly relevant right now. In this story, our main character is keeping a diary because the moon has suddenly been knocked out of orbit. And because the moon now hangs so much closer in the sky to Earth, all kinds of terrible things are happening, and it seems like the end of the world may be upon our main character. So she writes about it. Every day, what's happening with her, how is she able to be a normal teenager through it all? Many of us are familiar with Perks of Being a Wallflower. This is another great journal-based book. And then we look to a couple of different stories. The Night Diary by Vera Hiranandani is historical fiction set during some of the most difficult and fraught years in the country of India. From Twinkle with Love by Sandhya Menon is a great example of how letters can turn into a journal. Twinkle, the main character, wants to be a famous filmmaker someday, so each of her journal entries is addressed to a famous female filmmaker. Rose Under Fire is set during World War II when our main character finds herself in a concentration camp. And Monster by Walter Dean Myers is a series of notes by a young Black man who has been imprisoned in the juvenile justice system. If you want more books written in formats like this, just ask, because there are many out there. If you're interested in incorporating art into your journaling practice, you'll definitely want to check out Creative Bug. Creative Bug is a service that you can access for free with your Deschutes Public Library card. And as you'll see here, once you're logged into Creative Bug, there is a section for daily practice. So if you'd like to work a little bit of daily art into your journaling, or maybe you don't feel like writing at all, but a daily art journal feels more up your alley, check out Creative Bug. Find the daily practice section, and there is so much inspiration here to keep those creative juices flowing. Well, I have had a lot of fun talking with you today. It's been really great to pick up my old journals, flip through them, see where I was when I was in high school, and kind of think about what I am journaling about today. Right now, my journal is a simple black moleskin notebook. I try to keep it handy for all of the things that come up in my mind during these difficult times. The quarantine and isolation experience is really heavy and really difficult sometimes to talk about and not just brush off. So maybe that's a place to get started. There's lots of thoughts about that in my diary here. So whatever your diary looks like, however you keep track of your thoughts, I wish you happy journaling and enjoy your time discovering your inner thoughts. See you all soon.